Unacademy. Let's crack it.
Sir, till the time Tagore sir joins us, Harish sir, you
Yes.
have been in such a big position and regarding the education and regarding the this thing. So, what sir you think will be able to continue with online in the school education and the college education, not in the this thing?
Uh, Hello.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. I think for short term, there is not much of a problem. Short term, I means a year or so. But this can't be the norms forever. You know,
Yes, sir.
because it creates one is a disparity. Many people cannot access this technology to benefit. It's not only rural but even in urban places. I've seen that people don't have either the instrument or the internet connectivity, dependable internet connectivity. So one thing it will make even more polarized access, which is not really good in a long term.
Yes, sir.
And the second thing is that it's not really the same. The classroom is a classroom.
Classroom.
There is a live body language. There is interactions, and a lot of things are there in a classroom that is not really on this mechanism. So I think it's all right for a year or so, but it's something to get rid of as soon as we can,
Right.
as soon as we have control of this. But perhaps I think
Right, sir. A hybrid model.
so that it gives you an additional options to students who are working, for example.
So,
You know, so from that angle, it's a good development in technology, which will be used in other arena, but we shouldn't make it a permanent mode of education.
so, sir, I feel for the competitive exams, this is good because it is saving the time of the students. And
Yes.
but in the school and education, the basic education, the nurturing aspect is also missing. Not just the education aspect, but the
Yes. Yes.
nurturing aspect.
I think a teacher in a classroom, especially in schooling in primary, secondary schools, pays a lot of attention to the students' development.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
uh, Whether somebody is responding, somebody has changed behavior, contacting parents, all of those things are very essential part of nurturing what you said. It is, I think it's a good mode. Online is a good mode. Not for education, for exam, yes, as you said, for competitive exam. And these are two different things. Preparing for exam and education are different things.
So,
So
in fact, your answer will be beneficial for those who are attempting the interview because I feel so 100% there will be a question on this lines. What do you think
yeah,
in the education disparity, etc., the UPSC section?
yes,
Students, I'll be taking all the kind of the questions you can ask Harish sir and the Dagor sir regarding what all aspects they look for the interview, whatever doubts you have, or how to approach for the interview session, because this is your final obstacle before you get into the glorious services. Before I before so I will ask Harish sir also to because of his vast experience, I will also ask Harish sir to shed some light on what maybe UPSC is looking, what personality traits UPSC is looking for the candidates it wants to select, what may be the cutting edge that with the candidates can have. So with this, sir, if you are permitting, can I take the question or you want to say something before that?
no, take a question. Let's take a question, and the other things will come as we go on.
Okay. Okay. So, sir, the first question is, can, good afternoon, sir, can a district magistrate take any steps to create
Yeah.
PPP-based hospital in a district for tertiary care?
Uh, I think it's a very good question, prompting DM, district magistrate, to take initiative. The question has a initiative taken by DM to do something for the district. Now, on his own or on her own, the DM cannot create or cannot create the mechanism to start a PPP-based hospital. But if you take this to the government, state government, I think any government, so coming back to this question, whether DM can start a PPP-based hospital for the area, I think any government, any state government will be very happy to take these initiatives. Government really likes to go into PPP. And if there is initiative from DM side, it really adds. So all the DM has to do is identify the player and take the ball to the state government, and then the ball will be rolling on its own. Meanwhile, DM can facilitate the functioning of this one. My only caution here is that PPP-based projects generally has a two-edge. It has a huge investment if a private player is coming to invest it. Now, for urban area, there's no problem because they can recover this. Talking about rural area, I think to vet a PPP player, I think it's a game that well-experienced bureaucracy can deal with, because many times PPP model looks very good on paper, but in reality, and then the money part, the economics of running a hospital comes into play. And so if you just take care of these factors, but if I think the emphasis here is on DM to get the ball rolling, identify the players, identify your mentor in the government who will really help you to do that. So don't try to do it on your own, but there will be many helping hands at the state government level who will help you with this.
So thank you, Harish sir. So the answer here, we can say Harish sir has said that the collector can be a facilitator, a DM can be a facilitator who can connect the government with the PPP based business person so that the decisions can be taken. If I'm not wrong, sir, this is your kind of an summary.
Yes, I think Dagur sir may add to this.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Can you repeat it, Dudhat ji?
Yes, sir. So good afternoon, सबसे पहले. So the question था कि
Mr. Dudhat, na?
Yes, sir. Dudhat, Rishikesh Dudhat. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. सबसे पहले क्वेश्चन था, can a district magistrate take any steps to create PPP based hospital in a district for tertiary care? For tertiary care पूछ रहे हैं.
Yeah, I mean, you see, Harish ji has already explained it. It is absolutely possible for the DM to act as a facilitator because he is the link between the government and the district. And he understands the all grassroots level realities better than anyone else. The only thing is that he would like to have support from the government side because all the policy formulation and decisions are taken in the capital, not in the DM's office. But he can definitely facilitate. He knows the people, he can motivate them because these things takes time. So people would like to come again and again to DM, then DM will speak to someone actually in the state capital, then he will convince them because the delay, you see, sometimes what happens, when delay happens, the people lose interest. So the DM is the link who has to constantly motivate people to be there and to trust the system. But his role is of facilitator because final decision will be taken somewhere else, not in his office.
So, sir, we have the second question. And the second question is from Suman again. So I'm just taking the question is, what steps can a SDM take to tackle the problems of animals on street like bull and calf, or you can say street animals? And the third question, again, Suman is asking, so how can a DM deal with a nexus of politicians, business with respect to illegal mining? Suman, you can type one question at a time so that it can get addressed. But we'll take your first question. What steps can DM or SDM take to tackle the problem of animals on the street? Yes.
I would leave it for Dagur sir to take initiative.
Harishji,
Aji.
we have the experience of actually all past mock interviews and our interaction with the aspirants.
Yes.
You see, sometimes we confine ourselves in a role of district magistrate, SP and SDM, that's all. But you see, the bureaucracy, the civil services is very huge. I mean, it is not like DM and SDM and SP. There are many stakeholders, there are many roles, even of the civil servants. So when we talk about the district or the subdivision or the tehsil, there are many players, there are many departments which are working simultaneously. Now, for example, we always forget that there is a panchayat, there is a municipality, there is a nagar panchayat, and in big cities there are municipal corporations. And the role of those elected bodies is much more than the role of the SDM or DM. They play an important role in democratic setup. And we must keep in mind that this is the job of the local body, whether it is animals on road or any issue related to non-regulatory functions. When it is regulatory functions, obviously the district administration will come in play.
So, sir, anything else you want to add, Harish sir?
No, Rishikesh, not on this part. I think what he said is good and enough. I think if you want, I think Dagur sir and myself can actually brief what is an interview and what the panel is.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
what is expected of them? Yeah.
That overview, these are the fine questions that, role of DM in many aspects is one thing. But I think overall, what might be the panel looking at in the half an hour of interactions with the candidate, isn't it? One should prepare and how one should face the interview. I think that's a macro perspective that one should address here.
Or what should be the attitude while facing the interview? Because
yes.
Questions, we never know what kind of questions are going to come. But attitude, preparation, and how to face the interview, that is very, very important. So, sir, please, and if I feel that any question is good question, after that you brief, I will take certain questions, sir. So please, you can start.
Okay, so if I start, I think this personality test is not really looking for the depth of your knowledge. I think that is covered in the other written exam, etc. So you don't really have to be experts in every subject. So that means that if you don't know certain thing, it is perfectly fine. Your approach to the interview should be well balanced. You should not be overexcited. You should not be nervous. You should not be afraid of facing a panelist. I think you have come to a certain stage that you have done really well, and now it is what they want to really look into you, what they want to assess is what is your broad-based understanding of the function of the government. A very broad base, there are many aspects. There is education, there is economy, there are every other aspect, defense, international relations. So how broad-based you are is the one thing that you are tested on, asked on. Second thing, you should not be overconfident. At the same time, you should not be underconfident. So you should have a right kind of approach in facing a panelist. If you don't know, you can say that I'm not aware about it, I'm not aware of it, Or if you know a little bit and you have certain doubt, you can still say that I'm not very sure, but I guess that this is what it is. So guessing in that inverted comma is okay. But totally guessing and try to be over smart, you will be caught up at some point or other. Second thing I want to emphasize is that most of the questions will come from 4 or 5 aspects. One is which area you are coming from, which state, which district, and you should know about those places. For example, somebody says, I'm from Ajmer, and then the economy of Ajmer, sociology, all of those things, aspects of that particular district, you should be, which are the major industry, what is the development level, what is education level, all of those things about that particular area, one should be very familiar with. And the same thing is about the state that you are coming from, because you are applying for a public service, civil service, and you have to be aware about all of those aspects of your area that you are coming from. The second thing will come from your education, your undergraduate education, that if you have done a BE engineering or any other area, they may ask, somebody may ask you about those things. The third thing that sometimes we don't give due importance is the hobbies. That students will write anything in that hobby, not much serious. And they may list a dozen hobbies, which sometimes doesn't make sense, because they will pick up on those things and they will ask you many intricate questions that you may not be comfortable with. So hobby, you should write very carefully, about 3 or 4, maybe 2. And in those areas, you should really have a mastery so that person can feel that that the candidate is really, it's not just for writing sake, is really mastered or not mastered, but at least is well aware about those hobbies that he has. So this is not really just for, what looks good on the paper, you don't. So these are some of the 3-4 areas plus the current events. If you look at a newspaper for last, let's say 3-4 months, the major things that has happened will come up. If I give an example, this year, Corona, of course, is there, vaccines, all those things. But one important thing that you might have missed is a NEP, National Education Policy. And that national education policy is a underplayed major initiative by the government, and you may have questions about that if you are not thought about this one. So this is the basic approach that one has to take these things, prepare for these 4 or 5 points that I have mentioned. And then you have no reason that you will not do good. Your dress, attire, you don't want to attract any attention to your look or your in the way you present yourself, because that should be fine, formal, normal. Tie is not necessary, but if you wear it properly. So I think these are the basic advice that I would give after attending the real UPS interviews for 3-4 years, and also in last year's mock interview, Dagar sir and myself, we were together. So that's my take on nutshell advice of how you should be ready for the interview.
Sir, in fact, I was going to ask you the 2 questions the same. How deep one should go in hobbies? Because this is where, for example, I know a student who was asked last year that his hobby was yoga. And the question was, what is the yoga for diabetes and blood pressure? So, वो नहीं properly बता पाया उसमें से एक.
No, because sometimes candidates will write whatever comes to their mind without much thinking. They will put write those hobbies, and without thoroughly studying those aspects. If you write Madhubani painting, for example, it's a very good thing. If you can say that, but provided you know these things, or provided you have some sketches that you can prepare on the spot. Sometimes they'll ask you to prepare it on the spot. So be serious about whatever you have put into your hobbies, and get a good grip of those topics.
एंड सर एक बहुत अच्छा आपने जो क्वेश्चन बताया व्हाट यू आंसर्ड इज कि ड्रेसिंग का, क्योंकि बहुत सारा जो फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट वाले स्टूडेंट्स जो जाएंगे अब इंटरव्यू में, वो बहुत टाइम वेस्ट करते हैं कि मैं कोट पहनूं या टाई पहनूं या नहीं पहनूं. सो यू सेड इट वेरी करेक्टली कि मे बी दैट इज नॉट दैट इंपॉर्टेंट, यू शुड बी प्रेजेंटेबल वेरी प्रॉपर.
Yeah, but if you wear tie, have a right kind of knot. Sometime you leave it like this and this button open. So those kind of do whatever you wear, formal, proper, but do it well.
Dagur sir, आपके inputs because
see, Harish ji has covered actually by and large everything. I would like to just add actually 2-3 points. Number one, this is in addition to what Harish ji has already covered. The number one is spirit. Neither you can take it lightly, nor you should be overconscious. I mean, just be cool and calm, be honest to yourself, be simple but good. And then when it is not like, we are asking the questions and we are giving marks that out of 10 you have answered 5, so you get 50%. It's not like that. The interview board would like to understand you, would like to see your personality, would like to see your honesty, your commitment, your arguments. I mean, whatever stand you take on any topic. And that is very important. It is different than what is your knowledge base. Harish has already told that the knowledge base has already over. It is prelims and with main. But now we want to actually know what kind of person you are. What is your personality? How you take a stand on particular important subjects. And how you conduct yourself. How you enter into the room. How you greet. How you behave. And that happens when you have, many of them will be appearing for the first time. So my advice will be, just have a small group of friends, 4 or 5 of you. It is not important whether it is English medium, Hindi medium, or any other medium, but wherever you are comfortable, then spend few hours daily and use those words which are supposed to be spoken during the interview board. Sometimes we have seen, actually Harish ji will support me, that sometimes they use the words which are used in local media, or very not befitting to an officer. So you have to be very, very particular about your language when you appear for the interview or answer the questions. So take a stand, give the arguments, be logical. And hobby, Harish ji has already, hobby is just to understand you. It is not to grill you. It is not to, embarrass you. But it is just to know what kind of person you are. Why hobby actually questions, are more because some of the students, they write so many hobbies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some will not write any hobby. They are so afraid of hobbies. There will be so many questions on hobbies. But it is just to understand the candidate, the person. And so it makes you light. It makes you more confident when I ask a question about the hobbies. And this is all in an atmosphere where there are 4 or 5 members who have rich experience. So Harish ji very categorically told that you cannot be overconfident because they know much more than what you know. So you have to be very, very honest. If you are not able to answer any question, say that. It is not going against you. Definitely it is not going against you. And wherever you feel strong, then demonstrate it. whether it is your subject matter, whether it is your job experience, whether your academics, your hobby, your knowledge, your area. Take a stand, explain it, and then grab the opportunity if it comes through you. And don't waste time. Suppose you are not able to understand the subject or you don't know much about that, then move ahead so that when a question comes where you are much more comfortable and confident, you will be explaining yourself in a better way. But you have to be very, very honest. You cannot like you cannot take the interview board lightly.
Right, sir. क्योंकि जो students का age है, whatever is the age of few students who are, that is the number of years of experience the interview board members is having. Dagur sir is having and Harish sir is having. It is more than your age. The experience is more than the age. So obviously the judging is easy.
And all combined, you see, all 4 or 5 members, they have such a experience, vast experience, that it is not possible that you can guess and you can give any answer. It is not possible. You will be caught.
Sir, एक क्वेश्चन मैं एज अ स्टूडेंट के थ्रू से पूछना चाहता हूँ बिकॉज आई व्हाट हैव बीन इन टीचिंग द फील्ड फॉर द यूपीएससी इन लास्ट 10 years. तो सब कॉमन क्वेश्चंस है कि देयर आर सम इंटरव्यू पैनल्स व्हिच आर वेरी फैक्चुअल इन नेचर एंड बहुत बार स्टूडेंट्स को फैक्ट्स पता नहीं होते. हाउ टू डील विद दैट? इससे बच्चा टेंशन में आ जाता है.
No, please. Let me just tell you very honestly, you are not supposed to know everything.
Right.
See, all those 4 or 5 gentlemen, they know it very well that you are not supposed to know everything, but they want to know actually whether you are honest or not.
Yes,
when you don't know something, say it. It is not going against you, because there will be many occasions where the questions will be of your choice. You will be knowing the answer, and utilize that opportunity to explain yourself, because they want to understand your personality, how you behave in a particular situation, what is your stand on topics which are debated, where there are actually, see, so many arguments in favor or against a particular topic. There you give your argument with logic. So not knowing a question is not, it is not going against you. It is not going against any candidate if you don't know something.
So because sir, yes sir, Harish sir, you can continue.
I think technical details sometime is expected. For example, if I've done BA economics, then I should know certain things. That's expected. If you really fumble at those things, many times in Dagur Sahab, last year, there are many electronic
yes, you are right.
engineers.
Yeah.
And
That
simple questions about the technicality of this. It's not a must for a civil servant to know this, but being an engineer, if you fumble on those things, it doesn't really count much. So at least your domain, you should be well. But absolutely nobody is expected to have that much details about every field. And I don't think that the panel will be, all 5 of them will be like what you described. I think, I'm sure there is very, what should I say, very open attitude.
Very open.
Dudaji, Dudaji. What Harishji told just now, it is about the area of your specialization, your academics, your job. There actually, if you don't know, means you are not honest.
Right.
I mean, see, either you are not taking it seriously, or you have not done very hard work. So that is minimum which is expected of you. I mean, you cannot, you see, ignore that aspect. You have to be very, very strong. If you have done engineering, if you have done masters in economics, in political science, you are supposed to know the subject.
I will add, sometime you will be challenged. I will give you an example that they may challenge you by saying, suppose I am a panelist and I will say, ये क्या हो रहा है देश में, इकोनॉमी इज डाउन द ड्रेन, ये नहीं हो रहा है, एम्प्लॉयमेंट इज जीरो, ब्ला 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 ब्ला. Now you have to answer. You will be asked what you will do. So you are being trapped into criticizing the government.
Right. So
That you should
students
not
listen
do.
to this very properly.
So you should not do that. Even if whatever your personal opinion, at a time like this, you should say, yes, pandemic happened, so economy is down, but basically we are a developing countries and it will recover maybe a year or year and a half or 2 years. So sometime you fall into this trap that you start criticizing that the government did this, GST and Notbandi and all of this. You have to be very careful. They may sometime try to trap you of this kind of situation. The another similar open-ended question, could, in India, the constitution was written 70 years back. USA, it is 200 years back. Now, how do those forefathers can imagine what the society will be today or tomorrow? So how good is a constitution forever? Or is it good forever? So here you are challenged that how do you deal with a situation like this?
Okay, sir.
It's an open-ended question. You can, you can answer it the way you want, but it will reveal the depth of your thinking, your understanding of the entire system. It's not necessarily that this question, such questions do come, but sometimes you are taken in a very, in the area which is very open. You can say almost anything that you want. But your logic will reveal what you have been thinking and why you are thinking like this. That one has to be careful.
Dudaji, you see,
I just said one more thing, Dagar Sahab. Sometime you will be asked why you want this service or that service. And you should not criticize any of the other services, which is not in your choice.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So some people say IFS. I don't like foreign service because I have to keep moving around. My family will suffer, etc. Don't unless you are a lady. This answer may be okay, but better not to criticize any system, any service. You justify your choice. Why you made that choice?
Yes,
Dagar sir.
Dudaji, see, hello.
Yes, sir. Listening, sir.
Now, you see, what we experienced in the past mock interviews and other interactions, when candidate appears for the interview and when they take a stand and give the arguments, logical arguments, sometimes they don't have actually depth. Suppose it is about the district administration, about the constitutional provisions, about the economy. So those basic things one must know. Basic things. Now, when you see you are an IS officer, you are going to be an IS officer, you are supposed to know the basic things. So even if suppose the interview is say after 2 months or 3 months, one should prepare very well the basics. Not the but basic things actually. It is about the economy, about the constitution, about the current knowledge, about the your district administration, your welfare state. One should know that. And then actually, if you know the basics, then you will be able to give better arguments, better logical arguments. And honesty pays. I will just give you very small example. I appear for my interview of IAS and Rajasthan Administrative Service in the same year. During that time, you see, we used to just, listen to the radio, the commentary of cricket used to be very popular in the universities. So in addition to other hobbies, I wrote the cricket also, that this is also my hobby. And somehow the board chairman himself was a cricket lover. And the first question he asked कि बताइए भाई एक प्लेयर को कितनी तरह से आउट किया जाता है. तो मैंने सोचा इतना सच ए इजी क्वेश्चन. मैंने कहा 1 2 3 4 5, मैंने 6 तक पहुंचा. He smiled at me and told me you are halfway. तो मेरा तो आई मीन कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल ही खत्म हो गया क्योंकि मैंने सब कुछ बता दिया. आई एम halfway. And then he smiled and asked me कि ये कमेंट्री वाली हॉबी है ना. मैंने कहा यस सर यू आर राइट, कमेंट्री वाली हॉबी है. No doubt I admitted that it is मतलब you see on the basis of listening to the commentary, but then there were other questions. I got good marks, but one should accept if you are trapped, if you don't know something, there is nothing wrong in accepting.
Right, sir. Right. And aspirants should know कि this is where जब ये open-ended questions आएंगे, then your casual language, as sir had pointed out earlier, will come out. So therefore, you should take up a group study where you should practice the use of very formal language, because open-ended questions में ही your casual language can be reflected.
Exactly, Dudaji, you are absolutely right. And at that time, you should use the keywords, the words which are supposed to be used, which you have already used in the written examination. So just recollect those words and use those words during the time of interview.
Rishikesh, Dagur sir mentioned just a minute back about DM's role. I think it's a very important aspect for civil service. And the best way to understand the DM's role is go into some village and spend 2 days understanding all the government schemes, health, education, schooling, public distribution. There are a number of schemes, NEGRA. Try to understand what are the schemes. And in addition, you will also learn how the schemes are functioning.
Right.
So if you get an opportunity, and I'm sure you will get an opportunity to talk on this sometime or other, then you can bring out that, yes, sir, I went to this village, I spent 2-3 days, and this is what I observed, that these are the schemes, but this scheme is working very well in that district, but this scheme required certain infrastructure, or whatever you can say. Now it will tell you, and this we advise last year, Dagur sir, we advised candidates.
Well, many candidates went also. They went actually.
And this will add to the uniqueness that you are not talking theoretical. It will show that you are interested in really working at a ground level, a grass level. And it also shows that you have actually observed and worked with these schemes, and you have your input, your observations and input into it. So it's worth doing it to understand the role of DM. It's worth doing all of these things.
In fact, if the aspirants go and stay in the village for a day or two, even the village panchayat, village officials will be very cooperative to tell you everything, because even they are excited about your success. So the students can do it, and there are students who do it. Yes,
yeah.
Sir, you are. Yes.
But go on a bicycle, don't go on in a car, luxury car, or go on bicycle, be a villager for a couple of days, and that is the best way to learn. I think there is a question in the QA box that how to address the current affairs.
Yes, sir.
Now the current affairs, I said earlier that, if you read last 4-5 months newspaper, the depth into the background behind those headlines. So just knowing the headline is not good enough. You have to build upon that particular topic, and then you have to address the current affairs issues. For example, let's say a GDP growth. Okay, that's a headline. Or as I said, national education policy. Now that's a current affair headline. But just by reading today's para in the newspaper will not really make you thorough about those topics. If you want to understand NEP, you have to go back, what are the other policies earlier, what are the ground level issues with the education system, and then you have to sound knowledgeable, not just repeating the headline is not current affair. To be thorough on the topics of those particular things, that is the required. So the headlines worth studying in today's newspaper may be two, but if I go on depth of this one, I will spend at least 3-4 hours on each of them, so that I'm thoroughly familiar with that particular topic. Superficial headline is not the current affairs. That is what I'm trying to emphasize here.
So here, means sir wants to tell that you will have to build up and identify the issues and look at and build up the issues and then build up your own answer on the issues. Getting it, Atul? In
the
fact,
newspaper is just like a table of content. The chapters are somewhere else that you have to build upon the chapters.
Newspaper will just give you an idea. Which
Yeah.
are the topics, which are the important topics going around.
What has happened, but what has happened, what's the background of why it has happened, how it has happened, what should be done. All those things are required to make you comfortable in that particular topic. Just reading a paragraph will not make you very comfortable. That's the point that this particular
in
question.
fact, Atul, there are two issues associated with Harish sir and Dagur sir. One is regarding the new education policy. You will have to do that very properly. And the other is the role of PSUs today in today's economy. So this is what you should not look at which PSU is getting privatized. You should look at the role of PSUs and build up your own answer. This is what the idea is. That is build up an issue. Sir, we have a very good question there are two good questions which we can take up. One is he has qualified a Chhattisgarh PCS examination and got the post of CTO, Commercial Tax Inspector he has got. But because of some reasons, I could not work and I had to resign after 3 months. How should I defend this in the interview board? And yes, sir, maybe.
Honest, be honest.
Yes.
Be honest.
Tell your reasons very honestly. What was the reason?
Yeah. Give those reasons. Then I understand actually, you see, the interviewer understands you would like to move actually for better career, for better prospects in life. So, I mean, nobody takes it negatively.
Right.
Say what you feel. Tell the board.
So rather than defending yourself, you give the right answer.
Yes, right answer. No need to. Why you should be defensive? Why you should be defensive? You should not be defensive. Because you are going for a better career, better prospects. There's nothing wrong.
So Rohit, you got an answer.
There is no ready-made off-the-shelf answer for this question. I think the answer has to come out from within. Really, what happened, and then you have to articulate in a way that is convincing.
And if there is a ready-made answer, then the panelist will be able to judge you that you are giving a ready-made answer.
Ready-made, yes, exactly.
And sir, this is a common question. Next from Sagar. From all the engineers, I guess this will be the question. So I have two questions regarding this. Sagar is asking, I am electronics and telecommunication engineer. Till how much depth we should prepare, as there are many subjects in our 4 years curriculum? And how to prepare, any tips in the limited time? Sir, in this, I would like to add one more question, that many students get selected for interview after 4 years, 5 years of their graduation. Until that, after that 5 years of after the 5 years of UPSC preparation, they don't remember much about the graduation. So how much depth such students should prepare who are facing the interview panel, maybe after the graduation, after 5-6 years, or maybe after 10 years because they were working somewhere else? So
I think Harishji will be able to answer this question, because last year we faced, you see, many such incidents where people were lacking the basic knowledge of their academics. So Harish ji, please explain it.
I think if you really have forgotten everything that you studied in BE electronics, remember one thing, how BE electronics can be useful in public service, for general public. And for that, there is a online things, there is a computational, there is a internet reach to the rural area, how to make all those government services easily accessible to the public. So the basic application of electronics and then related internet kind of thing is how you apply to the functioning of the government, so for the citizen. And in that connection, I am reminded about Citizens Charter. Dagur Sahib, you remember last year?
Yeah.
Citizens Charter. The basic thing the government would like to do is all the services that it provides, that is supposed to provide to the citizens, should be, whether it's a passport renewal or a birth card or death certificate or whatever, it should be done as quickly, as efficiently as possible without going to any offices. So what I'm trying to say is that the electronics, maybe you may have forgotten, you may have completely blanked out, but how you can use that thing for public good is where you can divert your question. I mean, it's a little tricky, but you can channel the answer in a direction where you are more comfortable. Isn't it?
Harish ji,
yes,
you are absolutely right. I just would like to add one more thing. Dudhat ji,
Yes, sir.
there are actually few candidates who are actually, completely ignore their academics.
Right.
And then actually forces the interview board that, when you have done graduation, post-graduation in a particular subject, at least the basic things one should know. The basic engineering thing or the basic things related to economy. Suppose you are political science student, then the constitution, basic things you should know.
So students, even UPSC panel won't be asking you about microprocessor 8085 or 8086 का difference क्या है, but semiconductors क्या है. What is 5G technology? What is 4G technology? At least you should know this basic thing.
Yeah.
And then relevant thing about that thing is the regulation of this internet business. It's a big current issue affair as well, that how to regulate companies like Google and Facebook, or not the company, but company and its activity from the government's perspective. So a lot of things is happening in that area, and that also requires some technical background to understand and articulate about the regulation part. So you can think from that perspective of, and then the legal aspect of internet. So although electronic is one basic subject, but it branches out, or rather radiates into many aspects of public life. And those are the important things where you can channel your answer and be in more comfortable zone if you can do that.
In fact, the question was asked by Sagar. Today, it is the electronics and computers which is helping us to communicate. So this is how you can channelize the government activities, the systems, the citizen-centric services. All these are there. Sir, we have one important question, that is the question which is in the last subpart. I am working with railways through SCRA. Railways have invested for 6 years on me. How will I convince the board to opt for Indian IAAS? So IAAS is Indian Audit and Account Service. I only have one point of career prospect for IAAS. What else can I add on this?
Dr. Saab, aap lijiye.
Yeah. Dudhat ji, what is his issue? Matlab, his issue is that he has spent suppose 6-7 years in railways. I mean, how he will justify, I mean, those years which he has lost actually. You want to say that, no?
I guess anonymous attendee, you when railway has invested 6 years on me. Invested का मतलब क्या है? When you have worked for 6 years in railway, maybe the railway has trained you, or up you want to justify that why you are going to leave the railway service for UPSC civil services examination. That is what you should be the question, because neither anyone knows whether you'll be exactly getting Indian Audit and Account Service or not. So why you want to prepare for civil service examination, or why you want to opt for that? This is what I guess you want to justify.
The same answer I gave, that you are going for a better career, better prospects, a more challenging job. In whatever you have invested, whether it is your time, whether it is, I mean, your money, whatever, it is not going waste. It is an experience which is going to add actually to your services in the administration. So, I mean, suppose you have spent in railways or in audit and accounts or in police, I mean, it is not wastage. It is rich experience. You should be proud of that you have learned so much in the last 5-6 years. How to handle the different jobs, how to provide services, how you attend the grievances, what is your grievances redressal mechanism in the railways, and you will be using that experience for the betterment of the people. So it is, I mean, he can use it actually as a very good case.
You can tell, in fact,
yes,
how your experience with railways may help.
Yes, it is positive.
It is positive. And then if you want to know about, you want to convince the board that why IAAS is better, then you should have your own reasons why you think that maybe IAAS is a career prospect, better career prospect. And this is what Sir is saying. You frankly tell them, honestly tell them why you think IAAS is better than 6 years in railways. So you have an answer for that. So search about what are the career prospects in that. Why your goal will be much better in IAAS?
Then you see, he should discuss along with other colleagues, other friends. He may not be knowing many things. That's why he's confined to that service. Once actually you discuss, once you know what are the different roles of different civil services, then I think he will be able to form a better argument.
And anonymous attendee, this is what Sir had warned about earlier. So had you taken Sir's warning properly, you should have properly written Indian Audit and Account Service, not IAAS. This is what the casual language can do to you. So Sir, and two more questions I will like to ask from the students' perspective is, सर वन इज हाउ मच ऑफ बॉडी लैंग्वेज, बहुत अगर ऐसे कोई बहुत हाथ हिला रहा है या कैसे ऐसे स्ट्रेट बैठना है, सो ये कॉमन है कि कभी कभी द स्टूडेंट्स कम इन स्ट्रेस एंड वो पैर हिलाने लगते हैं, सो डू दे अफेक्ट द मार्किंग?
Yes, it affects. If it is see, there are norms. There are actually, I mean, see, suppose we are discussing something, a normal behavior, and a behavior which is crossing the limits, then actually it is immediately noticed. So it should not be noticed. You should not behave in such a manner which every member is noticing. So, and that comes actually with the experience. Once they attend actually few mock interviews, then probably the members will guide them, and that is not an issue. That is not an issue. But one should be very, very, as I told in the beginning, it is a formal occasion, and you have to keep that thing in mind. It is not like, you see, you are discussing something along with your friends, relatives. So I mean, it is a very, very formal, and you have to keep that thing in mind. Be polite, and certain body language is expected also, but not like, I mean, not in an informal way, not at all, not in an informal way.
Yeah, just to put it in different words, yes, if the situation demands, you can smile, gentle smile, but you should not laugh.
Right, right.
You know, so that's a crossing the line, you know. if there is something that amusing in the conversation, yes, a gentle smile is fine. But laughing in this kind of case is not required. You don't have to be very uptight, but you can relax is not the word I want to use it, but yes, you should be attentive. Look in the eyes of the person who is with whom you are conversing, and the conversation will be one-to-one. So there will be 4 or 5 panelists, but one only will be conversing with you at a given time. So you should be looking at that person eye to eye, and not just try to look around or this kind of a thing. Be very at ease, but a serious conversation with the panelist.
And sir, one last question. I guess students are having certain questions. One last question. Sir, here, one question is, what all should be added when we are asked to introduce ourselves right at the beginning? Anything outside the DAF or only limited to DAF information?
It's a very important question. The interview board, all the 4 or 5 members, they have your full details. They're all, your academics, your hobby, your services, everything is in front of them. So one should be very, very clear that how the question is asked. What is the language? What words are used by the member? If they want to know only in a formal way, or if they want to know more about you as a person, if they want to know more about your hobbies, your personal liking, disliking, whatever, just be very particular about the question. In what way the question is asked, what the panelists want to know. If they just want to know that introduce yourself, then it has to be few lines about yourself, that what you are, what you have done, and if you have some job experience, that much. 4 or 5 sentences, that's all.
And I would add that is an opportunity that the candidates should materialize on, to mention the areas of your own strength and comfort. Sometime, you can guide the panel in a way that then they will focus on those topics that you are mentioning in the introduction. But you have to be very careful in doing this. If you really know that this particular area is my strength, and then you can mention that during the introduction in some way, so that hopefully one of the panelists will then dwell on to that particular question. And one aspect that I didn't mention earlier was that your special paper also is a topic that draw some questioning by the panelists.
We have one question regarding that. That how should we prepare for the optional subject? His optional is geography, but sir will guide you in general, I guess so.
So generally what is asked is that suppose I'm an engineer and I take an optional paper of geography. Then people ask why you have taken geography. Your reason may be whatever, but you have to articulate that answer. Why the choice of the special paper as I said, engineering and sociology or something like this, then they may naturally ask you. It's not really a probing in detail, but that question will come. And that's the opportunity that you can open a certain conversation in a certain line if you are comfortable. If you are not comfortable, then you can handle it in that way.
And sir, a very general question which students have, his preference is IPS. So, kya IPS ko preference over IAS gives a wrong impression to interview?
No.
Nothing like that.
No service. I think panel doesn't look that this service is very important and this service is. But they will ask why you want to do that. It doesn't mean they are prejudiced that what this candidate has written, that it's a power centric. And no, certainly IPS is not a power centric. If you have not realized, you will realize when you become IPS. But that is not the that's not the prejudice on the part of panel. But they would like to know if you prefer Indian Forest Service or a foreign service, then why? What is the thinking behind this one? That is what they are trying to probe. These are not a very serious line of conversation, but sometimes they are revealing, that some in past students have answered, why you became an engineer if you really wanted civil service. Then they answer that, okay, my father wanted me to become an engineer. Okay, then why you want to come to civil service? Because my friends all are peer pressure, we need to become a civil servant. So that gives the impression that you are prone to such kind of influences from external this one. So your answer should be convincing enough that you can say that I wanted engineering, but then I realized that I can have better impact or something like this, that's more convincing.
See, I will,
Dr. Sir?
yeah. Harishji, if you remember, you see, I asked this question in the last mock interview when a candidate gave IPS his first preference. And he was not aware about IPC, CRPC, Evidence Act, the basic things. See, then you are trapped actually. When you are giving IPS your first preference, then you are supposed to know much more than others about the police, about the basic structure of the police administration, from where they draw their power. So you speak, and this will be when you are honest, you are genuinely interested in the police service or income tax. In that case, you are supposed to know the things actually which others may not be knowing in detail.
Right. That is why you are interested. So if you are interested in IPS, so you will have to learn something new about IPS.
You should know more than others. Yeah.
Similarly, foreign service जिनका first preference है, शायद सर उनको डिप्लोमेसी के बारे में या इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस के बारे में ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस आ सकते हैं.
Yes. I think someone is asking whether you should have eye contact only with the panelist asking question or keep making eye contact with the rest of the members. I think in serious conversation, you should have a eye contact with the panelists with whom you are conversing. But in between questions or sometime, briefly, you can also look at other members or chairmen. That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. You really don't have to fix you don't have to stare at the panelist, but it should look like that you are seriously addressing the question that particular panelist has answered. But you can look around, but not continuously looking around is not what I would suggest.
So it means primary has to be.
Yes, yes.
And sir,
but don't be conscious about it. But that's a natural conversation means that generally.
And sir, one last question, because here also there are too many different views from different mock interview panels, is that when we go inside the room, and if there is a lady member, female member in the panel, plus if there is a chairman, so whom should we greet first? Chairman or the female member or all of them together? So
Harishji.
Yes.
Are you answering or should I answer that?
You start, I will come back later on.
See, when you are entering into the interview, this hall or the room, the chairman plus other members, they all will be there. They are not so particular about whether you are greeting Mr. A first or B first. It is just a formal wishing all the members of interview board. You can wish actually all of them simultaneously, or I mean, it depends on you. But you should be very sure that you are addressing everyone. You are wishing everyone. And this is your way actually. I mean, it depends on you, how you want to greet them. It's not that you should say everyone, good evening, ma'am, good evening, sir. I mean, it depends on you, but you should be comfortable with that. It is not like that. It is not a criteria to assess your performance. Harishji.
Yeah, I think nobody will take it seriously as long as you have greeted everybody well, whether first him or her will not make a difference.
So students get confused, sir, in such small things. So here the answer is there, it will not matter.
Yes, these are formal issues, but very minor issues, trivial issues. The bigger issues are related to your personality, your way of how you see logically defend your stand, how honest you are in answering the questions, and what kind of person you are. That matters more than actually all other things.
So, sir, we have one candidate here who is already training for the post of SDM, Deputy Collector in UP, but it's just 1 month and he wants to know to what extent should he know about the job of SDM, because he is just 1 month into the job of SDM. So we have a question here, last one.
1 month, 1 month you will not know anything. 1 month, definitely you will not know anything. So better actually you see all the rules, regulations, the procedures, ask for experienced staff to explain to you. It will require actually much more exercise than any normal routine working. You will not understand all those things, because routine work is very different than the procedurals and the work related to formal orders, formal law. So he has to pay more attention. He has to spend more time. By virtue of being there for 1 month or 2 months, you will not know anything.
So maybe he will have to go through the, yes, sir, please.
Yes, it has to be a formal procedural understanding of all the laws, acts, rules applicable to the district administration. When you are working as SDM, you should know what Tehsildar is doing, what collector is doing, what deputy commissioner is doing. I mean, he has to know everything, because he's working in that environment. He's part of the administration. SDM is not working in isolation. There are people working under him and beyond him.
I think I will see this as an opportunity, as we discussed earlier, that you spent 3-4 days in a village.
Yes, that may be. Yeah,
I think this is that kind of a training that you can familiarize yourself with all the schemes, the functioning, the intricacies of some of the schemes. You can analyze them, why some are working well and some are not really working.
लेकिन हरीश जी वो तो साफ बन गया है ऑलरेडी. हरीश जी वो तो साफ बन गया है ऑलरेडी.
To your advantage.
तो साफ वाला निकालना पड़ेगा.
नहीं साहब. हाँ साहब बन गया है, लेकिन that's a access point that he can capitalize on. साहब बन के what you have seen, you can channel some part of discussion in the area of your company. There are certain ways of navigating away from very uncomfortable area to a comfortable zone. And that, I think this is one such chance that if they ask you what you have learned in SDM, as a SDM, you can say that these are some of the things I observed and these are some of the things that I still need to know, but I think those things are working very well if we did it this way, etc., etc. Not criticizing them, not criticizing them, but analyzing them.
Yes, Harishji, I'll just give you 1 or 2 examples. What he can learn about the old age pension, widow pension. I mean, the schemes which are implemented by the SDM office. And then actually he will acquire more knowledge, what kind of forms are required, what kind of supporting documents a candidate is a beneficiary is supposed to provide. So he can actually have a good mastery over that. And then he can use this. And that will actually increase his level of confidence also.
Right.
Yes.
So, sir,
So 1 month of SDM is a good training to think about, analyze, and then discuss.
so I guess, sir, Tanya has answered that she's undergoing a training in
One
academy.
question about stumbling. Somebody asked.
Yes, sir. Sagar has asked the question about stumbling.
Okay.
So the question is, sir, I have a problem of
Okay.
stumbling. Should I tell the panel about it, or is it okay to proceed without telling them?
You see, whether you tell the panel or not, panel will definitely notice it. But it is not taken against you. I mean, you can, in the beginning, if you feel more confident, you can tell actually that I have this problem. But the panel is always considered about the candidate. So it will not go against her. It will never go against her. But one should be honest about it.
Yes.
So, sir, I guess these are the questions from the students. Sir, anything you will like to add again before we end the topic?
Start behaving as if you are already civil servant. And what is expected of a civil servant, whether it is your knowledge, whether it your attire, whether it is your language, your circle, your relations, start behaving that way.
The body language should also be reflective of.
Yeah.
Yes, Harish, sir.
No, I think we have said enough what came to our mind, at least my mind, and I think basically you have to be yourself. You have to be honest, and in a formal half an hour that is given to you in front of board. And if you are yourself, if you are prepared thoroughly, prepared good, there's no issues generally. But don't be casual about it. Don't be casual about preparations. Keep reading the newspaper, but also go beyond the headlines. And at least these 4 or 5 areas that we mentioned, you can be as thorough as you can in this coming month or so before your interview. And I wish them all very well.
So,
yeah, Dudhaji, my
Yes, sir.
advice will be what Harish has already actually stated earlier. Take it seriously. It is to be taken very seriously since it is a formal occasion. But enjoy it. Enjoy this process.
Yes.
Because it is about you. It is just to know you and how actually you will perform in future. What will be your career? So enjoy this process. Tension nahi rakhna usme. Just enjoy it.
And avoid textbook answers. Sometimes they say, I want to do public service. I want to be helpful to the society, blah, blah, blah. I think those kind of textbook answers you should avoid. You should give your own real answers in your own language.
Right. So the candidates will have to work on that. We'll have to check whether your answer is correct or not, but don't go on the textbook answers. That is very right, sir.
Yes.
Because
कभी-कभी लोग कहते हैं कि लोगों की सेवा करनी है, ऐसे वो आ जाते हैं जब कोई भी वो, which is good. You can keep that thing in your mind, but I think that will count as a textbook answers, coached answers. So we should try to avoid that. Be yourself. That's a good way of handling interview.
It should come through your heart, Dudhaji. It should come from your heart. And interview board will notice it.
It is revealed. It is revealed. You can't conceal such. Preparation is good, but preparation should be a part of your thought process. It's if you try to make that as a cover, it will be revealed.
So thank you, Harish sir. Thank you, Dagur sir. It was very enlightening with you, and I
Thank
hope.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.